Alright lads, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 and the price increases and gaming in general and where the industry is going. It's not good. And I'm also going to address one of the comments that I got on my YouTube posts. Fardeen, if you're watching this is for you. This is a response to you. Don't get mad. It's just, I wanted to make this video for a while. Now I finally have a reason. So what do you think of the console? It's a solid product. It has a 1080p 120Hz display. Did not expect that. But I guess it's fine because even stuff like Retroid Pocket nowadays have like 1080p 120Hz displays. In fact, it has an OLED screen. Nintendo Switch 2 doesn't even have an OLED screen. So yeah, I don't think that's a big deal. It has a lot more performance. It of course has access to DLSS, which best upscaler, hands down, no question there. So all of that points to Nintendo actually having a good product, and there is again no question there. The Switch was successful. They know what they're doing with the Switch 2. Everything is fine. The mouse mode actually kind of has me excited a little bit because I'm a keyboard mouse kind of a guy. Yes, I use the controller a lot more nowadays, but I still like my keyboard mouse. So all of that is great. The games they showed off, again, great. Not interested in Mario Horizons particularly, but we get what we get. So now then, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the price. $450 for the Nintendo Switch 2, it has some issues. First and foremost, my issue with this price is that Nintendo, what the fuck? Are you seriously gonna sit here and tell me that languages cost you $100? Because forget taxes, forget tariffs, whatever the price ends up being after Trump's stupidity, that's different. Whatever it ends up being after taxes, that's just ignore that part. Let's first talk about the fact that Nintendo themselves have a version of the console which is $133 cheaper. I think it's $133. It might be slightly. Let's say $100. It's $100 cheaper than the worldwide console. They are selling both in Japan, by the way. It's not just that they have this. They are selling the Japanese only console as well. And the Japanese only console is $100 cheaper. So languages cost $100. Are you fucking serious, Nintendo? That has never been a thing. Yes, Nintendo really loves region locking their consoles, but even they weren't this greedy before. So first and foremost, that right there is my case. Even Nintendo doesn't think $450 is the correct price, because that's why they're selling the console at a lot cheaper in Japan, which is their main market. So I don't even need to justify that, but I will still justify myself. Now let's talk about the price from a different perspective. Now in the comment, Fardeen said that, they sell the consoles at a loss. So it makes sense that Nintendo isn't selling at a loss, so they're selling at a higher price. But there is a reason why they sell the consoles at a loss. That is because they need the most amount of players on the platform. If they don't have that, the publishers, especially third-party publishers, have less and less incentive to actually port their games over to the consoles. And this is something we have seen with failed consoles of the past. Let's talk about another console, another handheld actually, PS Vita. I have a PS Vita at home. It's a phenomenal piece of tech. It had an OLED screen. It had touch screens in the back, which you can use to actually control stuff. It has so many things. It is honestly an insane handheld, and it still got like 5-6 hours of battery life out of that. And it could play like PS3 level games. It could play I remember playing like NFS Most Wanted on it. Not the actually good Most Wanted, but the newer, crappier Most Wanted. But the reason why the console didn't succeed is because of Sony. Not only was it expensive, they also had a proprietary memory stick, which was also expensive and which you needed to actually play those games. So it was a double whammy. Not only was the console expensive, you needed that memory card, which was also expensive, and if you got the lower capacity one, you needed to keep switching out your games, which is, anyone would agree, not a convenient thing to do. And that is what led to the downfall of the PS Vita. Even though PS Vita 2000 tried to save it, tried to have onboard storage, it was at that point a bit too late. And that's why the PS Vita failed. And now let's come back to the Switch 2. Now the Switch 2 is overpriced and the storage of Switch 2 is also overpriced. But in this particular aspect, I am willing to cut Nintendo some slack. The reason being, they are not using a proprietary standard. They are using an industry standard. It's a relatively new industry standard, which is why it's just not that popular just yet, and that is why it's a bit expensive. But I do expect those prices to eventually come down. It uses an NVMe interface and this is new stuff, so I can understand why that costs a lot, and I'm pretty sure eventually those prices will come down. And so throughout the lifespan of this console, I do see that not being that big of an issue, especially with 256 gigs being, storage out of the box. Now, if Nintendo Switch 2 games are a lot bigger, then that will become an issue. But I don't think that will become an issue because the Switch games, in docked mode, they run at 1080p. And considering that 1080p is pretty much still the resolution that they're targeting, yes, they say 4K, but that's with upscaling and shit like that. They're still targeting 1080p for the most part. So considering that, they don't really need like proper high-res textures. They can still have texture compression. So I'm expecting game sizes to not be that much bigger than the Nintendo Switch. So I think 256 gigs should be fine in terms of storage. But again, I might be wrong. We'll see when the console comes out and the games come out. As it stands though, this is now a $450 console. So it becomes harder to sell your console at that price. There is a reason why Valve launched the Steam Deck at $400. They did not want to compete with the home consoles, because now that you go into a shelf and now when you see the Nintendo Switch 2 and you see the PS5, let's say you are someone who wants to buy a machine for gaming. Which one will you target? Now, you might get the Switch 2, you might get the PS5, you might say, hey, I want something that is handheld and that is hybrid. You are well within your rights for that. But that's not the point. The reason why the Switch 1 was such a success of a console is because it's not just the casual people who bought it as their only gaming device to just play like Mario Party and stuff like that. It's also people like me. I have a PC, I have a proper gaming setup, but I still bought this because this was cheap and it genuinely has a good gaming experience. But if you ask me right now, if I want to go out and go buy a console, it's probably not going to be the Switch 2. It will probably be the PS5. That is with the assumption that that would be my primary gaming device. Of course, my primary gaming device is my computer. Before I get anything, I'll probably change that GPU first. So that is something completely different for me. But considering that this will probably be the primary gaming device, and considering the fact that this is basically the same price as the home consoles, it doesn't look good for Nintendo, because the casual audience aren't going to be the ones who go out and buy it day one. It will be us who go and buy it day one. And we are not willing to do that. The fact that Nintendo themselves were unique was a selling point, yes, but the second selling point was that price. And now that the price isn't there, and suddenly it's just not that compelling to buy one. Now, I'm probably gonna get one, but that's a separate matter. Now let's talk about something else as well. Now, hardware eventually gets cheaper to manufacture. That is why, when you said that consoles eventually sell, consoles in the beginning sell at a loss, that is correct. But they make up their cost, A, because, they sell software, they take 30% of the cut from every piece of software sold, plus they have subscriptions that you need if you want to play online. So yeah, they're getting their money back either way. So the console isn't just $500, it's more than that. So Nintendo also has that. Nintendo, you also need to pay to have basic stuff like cloud saves. So yeah, you still need to pay them. They are still taking the cut from every game that is sold. And their console is expensive. So it doesn't make sense. You can't say that you're unique while doing the same shit everyone else is doing. So not just that, but eventually for these companies like Sony and Microsoft, the consoles get cheaper to manufacture. So maybe 2-3 years down the line, they are actually making a profit on the consoles as well. Now, in the past, what we have seen is once these consoles do get easy to manufacture, they actually come down in price. Actually, that also kind of happened with the Nintendo Switch. It's not as expensive as when it was when it came out. And we see cheaper versions of the consoles as well, because again, it is cheaper to manufacture. So generally that is how it usually works, except in this generation, that's not what happened. Because with this generation, they realized, especially during COVID times, people will pay whatever the companies demand. The entire gaming landscape has become heavily skewed towards these companies rather than being towards the consumers. That wasn't the case with last gen. That wasn't the case when the first Nintendo Switch came out. That wasn't the case even with the PS4 or the Xbox One. Yeah, One. The Xbox has weird names, guys. I can't keep track of them all. I'm just gonna call out Sony from now on, but keep in mind I'm also talking about Microsoft. So now another story that I want to say is, and now you might think that, but okay, that's all of that is fine, but Nintendo is still Nintendo. They have so many exclusives. Well, about that, Sony also has exclusives. It's not like they don't have exclusives. They have some damn good games on their hardware. So yeah, their exclusive eventually come out on PC, but that would mean you still need a PC as well, which is shit ton more expensive nowadays. So yeah, if you have a PC, everything is a secondary device anyway. So there is that. Now let's talk about Xbox. That is your example of what happens when a company fucks up its pricing. Now what did Xbox do? With the Xbox One, they had the stupid fucking DRM. They had a more expensive console because they wanted to bundle Kinect with it. What happened with that? They lost that console generation. And they lost it so badly, and they lost it at such a pivotal point, that they are basically abandoning the hardware space right now. They are basically going out of it. For now, their slogan is everything is an Xbox. That is their actual slogan. They don't actually care about consoles anymore. All they want are game sales. So we might be in a situation where 4 or 5 years down the line, Xbox doesn't even have hardware anymore. We are so screwed right now if that happens. And that was just because Microsoft underestimated what will happen if they sell a slightly more expensive console. So if Nintendo is going down that same route, don't make a mistake. That will happen to Nintendo as well. Yeah, the market might be skewed towards the publishers and these big companies right now, but it always bounces back. It will always come back. And when it does, Nintendo will find that if they don't sell that many consoles, they are screwed because third parties will simply ditch them. It has happened before. This is nothing new. So hopefully that answers why I feel the price of the console is too much. It should be at least $50 lower. $400 I would still understand. $450 is too much. Now let's talk about the games. Now Nintendo also set one more precedent for the gaming industry. That is $80 games. And this is the one that I have the biggest problem with. Because what are we actually getting for that $10, actually $20 increase? Because yes, keep in mind, there was a $10 increase literally at the beginning of this generation, which wasn't justified ever. We didn't get any experience that made me think that, oh yeah, this is $10 more worth than what we used to get. We got none of that shit. In terms of inflation, again, inflation isn't the only thing that sets prices. That is one of the factors that is used to set the price. But it's not the only thing. But you do know what will happen with this? Now that the consoles are going up in price, now that you basically can't run games on a 3060, you can barely with frame gen, with fake frames, AI generated garbage bullshit, you can use that to run games, but it's basically getting to the end of its life. So I basically need a 9070 or a 9070 XT to basically have a GPU that will at least last me 4 or 5 years. That's the kind of hardware I'm aiming for right now. So with the prices going that much farther up, what do you think will happen? Do you think people have infinite money? This is, by the way, me addressing the publishers and these hardware manufacturers. Do you think people have infinite money? Do you think like people just have money dropping from trees or some shit? That people will just go out and keep buying these games? That's not going to happen. What will happen is people will buy fewer games. Games used to cost $60, yes? So if I buy 2 games, that is $120. So if I had a budget of like $150, I could get like 2, maybe I can squeeze in 3 with a sale or something, stuff like that. But if the games are now $80 and you fucking bet that they will be $80, now that Nintendo has priced it that way, every single company is going to follow. Because of course they are. because they only see like literally one day ahead. They don't have the capacity of actually planning for more than that. They see the line go up. That's great. The shareholders will think I'm actually doing something, and then I'll actually get the money as my bonus. That's all they care about. It's extremely short-term thinking. And that's what it leads these industries into collapsing, because this is not the first industry that's doing this. So guess what will happen? People will buy lesser games, which means people won't buy your game. You can be any publisher, but you will lose sales because of this. That $20 extra that you're making, that also means that there is some guy somewhere who would have spent $60 that is not spending that $60 anymore. So which means that maybe you got one sale where you got $20 extra, but you missed out on another sale that where you were supposed to get $60 instead. So good job with that, and good luck with that. Because if you keep increasing the prices, that's going to happen more and more and more. Because people have limited budgets. This is, at the end of the day, this is entertainment. This is not a necessity. People first need to eat, they need to sleep, they need to have a roof over their head, they need to go to their work, come back, they need to take care of their kids, their families. Those things come first. Gaming comes later. Gaming comes a lot later than that. This is a hobby. Yeah, people spend exorbitant amount of money on their hobbies, but how many people are those? How many people actually, we hear of the car guys, what percentage of people actually modify their cars? It's a very, very small percentage. Yes, they will spend a lot of money, but they are not the entire population buying your cars. And that is the same thing that applies to games as well. So yes, you will get whales who will spend $1,000 in your games, but you won't get like 1,000 more sales because of it. So good luck with that. And this also points to another trend. Everyone now wants to push you into a subscription service. You have subscription to Ubisoft Plus, you have Nintendo, you have Xbox, you have PlayStation. Everyone fucking has a subscription service. And that is what they want you to actually get. The reason why these games are $80 fucking dollars is because they know it's ridiculous. They know you are not going to pay $80. You would much rather pay $10 a month, because in your mind, $10 doesn't sound that bad. I mean, I am monthly $10, it's fine. Except it's not. When you get to multiple platforms, now you have multiple subscriptions. This is the exact same thing that happened to movies and the OTT industry. This is why Netflix is failing. This is why Disney Plus is failing. Every single subscription service on the other side, like the movie side of entertainment, is failing because of this. They had short-term plans. They were like, oh, look, we have recurring revenue. There's so many people with so many subscribers. People are watching this. People are watching that. Look, these are numbers. Their quality has drastically gone down because all they need is for these movies to be easy to follow so that people can just scroll on their phones and sometimes maybe look at the screen. That's all they need. That is their defining metric. So not only have the movies gone down in quality, the prices of the subscriptions are increasing day by day, and we are at a situation where do we really want to pay that to watch these shitty movies? And that is exactly what's going to happen with gaming. We are already seeing the game prices go up. We have seen the game quality come down. I mean, the biggest example of that is Ubisoft. Like, look at the kind of games they used to make in 2014, 2015. Yes, they were broken messes, yes. But the quality of the games is far ahead of anything that they're making now. And their games are still broken. So there's no improvement in that regard. Yeah, Shadows is pretty polished, but Shadows has its own problems as well. It's not like it doesn't crash every 20 fucking minutes. So yeah, there is that. So yeah, that's where the gaming industry is headed. If they are not careful, if they keep chasing these short-term trends and not think in the long term, they are going in that exact same direction. So good luck with that. For me, I still have my Switch. I might get the Switch too, but honestly, we'll see. I might get the console and I might just keep it around because last time, if you might remember, the Switch, when that came out, the first batch of Switches, I think the first year of Switches, they actually had an exploit which would let you very easily sail the high seas. So I might buy the console on on the faint hope that I can get a console with some sort of a vulnerability that we can easily exploit. I'm saying this out loud, right? It sounds immoral, but what's more immoral is the prices that they're charging us. So I have no problems with this. I have no qualms with this at all. I buy the games that I actually love. But I can't buy every single game. Maybe I'll buy them on sales. Stuff like that. But yeah, if you expect me to pay that much for every single game, yeah, you can forget about it. So anyway, that's all what I wanted to say. Do let me know down in the comments below what do you guys think. And well, that's all I really wanted to say. And especially Fardeen, let me know down in the comments below. मेरे को पता है तेरे बारे में बोला मैं ज़्यादा. Don't take it personally. I just wanted to make the video. So all that said, I will leave you guys in peace. Bye bye.